Young and Restless spoilers week of October 6th. In the Young and the Restless latest spoilers for the week of Monday, October 6th, through Friday, October 10th, Kyle's anger at Audra boils over, Victor drops a bombshell on Jill, Nick goes out on a limb, and Phyllis has some explaining to do. Read on for the details on these teasers and more. In Monday's recap, Kyle reveals a controversial plan, Victor is warned by Victoria, and Sharon shares her fears with Nick. Victor plots his takedown of an opponent. In other words, Kane, because right now, all roads lead to the erstwhile Aristotle Dumas. Maybe it's less a thin line between love and hate and more a thin line between hate and more hate as Kyle and Audra's war approaches the point of no return. As he so often does, Jack hides a trick up his sleeve. No tank tops for him. 35 years after its first episode debuted, see what Beverly Hills 90210 SOGs look like now in stunning then and now photos. In Tuesday's recap, Sharon learns Mariah tried to kill a man, Phyllis stands her ground, and Jill arrives at the ranch. Better late than never. Nikki settles unfinished business with Jill. Adding to her other concerns about her wife, Tessa worries about Mariah's safety. Not looking good. Kyle's shocking next move could spell the end of him and Claire forever. Doubtful Nick will get any answers that he likes when he questions Phyllis's alliance with Kane. In Wednesday's recap, Jill heads over to confront Kane after hearing Victor's dirt, and Tessa pulls Daniel into an embrace. Victor shares shocking news with long-ago lover Jill. Preview Victor's attack on Kane here. Nikki searches for answers. Talk about a close call. Courtney Hope comes face-to-face with danger. Thank God I saw it. Jack might as well encourage water to be dry as he presses Kane to make the right decision. Doing his late father proud, Jack protects his family's interests. Spoiler. Is the new Victor? Yeah, no. Read all about it in the new edition of Soap's Burning Questions. Playing by the rules has gotten Nick nowhere, so he goes rogue for a change. Seems like the info Victor drops is about Kane as Jill and Lily waste no time confronting him about his past. Maybe they could inquire about his forgotten son while they're at it. Chatham has pleased the master, so Victor rewards Adam and Chelsea's loyalty. Cricket and Danny make a big decision about their wedding. Phyllis should know just what to do when she's caught in a compromising position. Maybe this is the start of that new romance we hear is coming for her? Genoa City was under a gray autumn sky, the kind of weather that clung to your bones and made promises of revelation. In the Newman penthouse, Victor sat at his desk, eyes fixed on a folder he had only just opened. His jaw was tight, his face, wounded by the knowledge he'd gained. Across from him, Jill paced, her heels soft against the plush carpet, a tremor of fear in her shoulders. You knew, didn't you? Jill finally demanded. Her voice cracked, not from weakness, but from the years of bearing weight. Victor didn't answer. He only slid the folder across. Inside were photographs, documents, bank account records, evidence that Kane had begun diverting funds, scheming behind their backs. The betrayal stung more than Jill would admit. I trusted him, Jill whispered, as if the admission would protect her from the truth. Still do in some corner of my heart. Victor paused. Trust is a currency you can't spend when it's gone. He pressed a finger down on one set of papers. Look at this. Every transaction, every offshore account. This matches Tessa's intel. Jill's eyes widened. Tessa. The one person she thought might be an ally, or more. Now the possibility of duplicity in that corner made her chest tighten. Meanwhile, miles away at Newman Enterprises, Tessa sat at her desk, phone balanced between ear and shoulder. On the other line was Daniel. Voice thick with urgency. I've got a lead, Daniel said. Something big. But I need support from within. You're the only one I can trust right now. Tessa leaned back, rubbing her temple. Doubts flickered. She looked at the Newman photo on her desk. Jill, Victor, a smiling family moment. Was she betraying them? Or safeguarding them? She swallowed, throat dry. Okay, she said finally. But I don't want secrets. Not anymore. At the same moment, across town in the Abbott boardroom, Kyle sat staring at his phone. It buzzed again. Another message from Audra. The words were sharp, almost accusing. You think you can walk away? You'll regret this. Kyle's fingers trembled. He remembered their last conversation. How Claire had broken, how Audra had clung, how loyalty had become a battlefield. He dropped the phone. Heart pounding. The war between love and pride raged within him. Suddenly, the lights flickered. The room plunged into half-shadow. Unseen, someone slipped in through the back door. Kyle didn't notice until the intercom crackled. "Kyle Abbott," the voice whispered, familiar and venomous. "You're running out of time." He froze. That night, at the Newman mansion, Jill sat in Victor's study staring out a window, watching falling leaves spin like memories. Kane's betrayal, Tessa's silence, Audra's claws, they tumbled in her mind. She felt older, worn. But something stronger, a seed of defiance, was growing. Victor entered quietly. He closed the gap between them and placed a hand on her shoulder. "Whatever happens," he said, "we will stand. But we have to move first, before they strike." Jill turned. Her eyes, usually soft, now held steel. "Then they won't see us coming." Done. In the rising light, Tessa stood before the Newman safe, its cold steel gleaming. Her heart thumped. She glanced over her shoulder. No one behind her. She slid the code, opened it. Inside, among stacks of files, she found what she was looking for. A ledger that linked Kane's offshore accounts to a shell company tied to Audra's backers. A conspiracy bigger than she realized. Cracked ajar. A shadow fell. Tessa froze, 1 foot inside, 1 foot out. She pivoted. "Jill," she whispered. Jill stepped in, resolute. "We need to talk." Tessa closed the safe, heart racing. "It's worse than any of us thought." Jill nodded. "Then we fight." Elsewhere, Kyle chased down Audra at her loft. The dawn light streamed in, dust motes shimmering. Audra stood across from him, defiant, arms crossed. "You think this is over?" she spat. Kyle's voice cracked. "No. But enough of the games. I don't want to lose you." Audra's eyes glistened. For a moment, she was the broken girl he once adored. Then she stiffened. "You already have." Kyle stepped forward, desperation bleeding into his voice. "Then I'll prove you wrong." Silence stretched. Then something changed in Audra's posture. A tiny shift. The battle lines blurred. Over at Chancellor Park, Victoria sat alone on a bench, journal open. She replayed the recent phone call from Kane. Fragments of guilt, tears, promises she couldn't trust. A wind blew, stirring pages. She closed the journal and rose. Her feet guided her to the Newman mansion. At the door she paused, heart fluttering. She'd lost faith too many times. But maybe she could still help. She lifted her hand to knock. Inside, Jill and Tessa pored over the ledger, planning a confrontation. A knock echoed. Jill opened, and Victoria stood there, fragile but determined. "I saw the photos," Victoria began. "I know what he's doing." Jill nodded. "We need you." Victoria's lips trembled. "I'm in." In the boardroom of Jabot, Jack and Phyllis argued over Tessa's loyalty, over Kyle's choices, over legacy. Phyllis slammed her fist on the table. "She'll betray all of us," she cried of Tessa. Jack raised his hand. "Stop. We don't know that yet. And if we rush, we'll be blindsided." He glanced at the screen displaying the ledger's entries. He slid a file toward Phyllis. "Look at this. This points to someone higher up." Phyllis's eyes widened. A label. Newman Enterprises, Tessa Trust Holdings. It couldn't be. But everything converged. Jack locked eyes with Phyllis. It's time to choose sides. By evening, tensions boiled. In the Newman Mansion's grand hall, all parties converged. Victor stood at the center. Jill beside him. Tessa and Victoria behind them. Across the room, Kyle and Audra, Jack and Phyllis. Silent candles flickered, casting long shadows on high walls. Victor cleared his throat. "Tonight, we unmask truth." He gestured to the projector. The ledger projected large. Names, sums, account numbers. Gasps rippled. Then he looked at Kane, absent, but central in the frame of accusation. Then Jill spoke, voice firm. "I loved him. But love doesn't excuse betrayal." She turned to Tessa. "You risked everything for this. Thank you." Tears glistened on Tessa's cheeks, but she stood tall. Kyle stepped forward. "I made mistakes. But I won't watch you be taken down again." He looked at Audra. She stood, mouth tight, eyes wild. She swallowed, then nodded. Phyllis, spectating, clenched her fists, emotions raw. Jack stood protective, his loyalty torn. No one spoke. The ledger was living proof. The alliances hung suspended. Then the door slammed. All heads turned. Kane strode in, face pale. Behind him, masked figures, security detail, his last safeguard. He looked at Jill, then at Victor. "You had no right," he hissed. Victor rose. Measured. "I had every right. Because you betrayed us. And now we will make sure the world knows." Kane glared. The masked figures shifted. Fear entered their eyes. Jill's voice cut through. "Leave. Tonight, you are exiled. And if you step foot here again." She didn't finish. The threat hung. Kane hesitated, then pivoted, his entourage retreating. The masked men exited first, then he followed, pride beating in his steps. The room exhaled. Tessa let tears fall. Victor folded his arms, relief and sadness in his eyes. Jill clutched Tessa's hand. Victoria slid in beside them. Kyle released Audra's hand slowly. Phyllis turned to Jack. Jack turned to Phyllis. Neither knew what to say. At that moment, the chandelier light flickered. A hush. The future remained uncertain, but one thing was clear. In Genoa City, nothing stayed hidden for long. In the days that followed, alliances shifted, wounds smoldered, new secrets brewed. But Jill, Victor, Tessa, Kyle, Victoria, they had drawn lines in the dust. For now, the house was theirs. Genoa City breathed. The Restless would rise again tomorrow. And when they did, the stage was already set.